You're listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast. Your boy Pat Lane, as always, with my guy Matt St. Jean. And Matt, the Patriots are coming off the bye, and there's some pretty massive news coming off the bye. Pretty wild stuff. Of course, not Patriots anymore, but certainly Patriots adjacent. Still, Bill Belichick, the new head coach of the UNC Tar Heels. The Patriots traded Drake May for Bill Belichick. And
is the player to be named later in the Drake May trade.
I think it might not be a bad decision by the Patriots.
No, I mean, this shocked me that this was even under consideration. But yeah, this is exciting, interesting. It's going to be a subplot to follow in the football landscape for the next weeks, months, years, however long this ends up going. No, very curious about a lot of aspects of this. I think question number one is how long does it last? Question number two is how does the recruiting go?
Yeah.
And then question three, it's like, what does the scheme look like? Because it's a very different world in college football. And I think that with the cachet, like the Bill Belichick brings,
Right,
and the juice that program is going to have, they'll recruit for at least a class or two. They'll get people out of the portal. They'll have talent. They'll be they're going to have money. They're going to be a top 3 program, probably in the ACC. They should be in talent. But how do they use it? Do the players respond?
right.
What happens if he goes out there and he tries to run, some of the things that the Pats have done on offense in the last 6 years?
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
But then my flip side is that if you go out and you run the 2020 Cam Newton offense, but against college teams and with college talent, that could be really good.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. I think it's fascinating. It's definitely, I think the landscape in college football has changed to the point where it is a lot more like the NFL than it used to be. And so I think that, you see Mike Lombardi, right, leaving his job to go be the GM for Belichick. To me, I think it makes a lot of sense for Belichick to make this move. Now, I think part of it is because he didn't have any suitors in the NFL. I think he'd rather be in the NFL than the NCAA, but I don't think he thought he was getting a job. And so, but let me tell you something. If he can make UNC relevant, which I think he can. I think he's going to get the players. I mean, think about it this way, right? I think that guys are going to look at it and say, Bill Belichick's the greatest coach of all time. But not just that, the connections that he has throughout the league, the respect that he has from a ton of coaches and evaluators. If he comes on, or, if you show up at campus and Bill's singing your praises about how good you are, something that he doesn't do very often with players, right? That gives you a better chance of getting drafted, right? And so I think that players are going to want to go there and play there. And, that gives them an advantage at the beginning. They also quadrupled. They are maybe even more. I think they quadrupled it. I think they went from $5 million spending in football to 20, which is complete insanity. And so Belichick was like, we're spending this and we're spending that and we're spending this and we're spending this. And they said, okay, let's do it. And I think it would be really, really interesting. I will tell you, if he takes UNC to an ACC title game or makes them relevant in any way, I already think he's the greatest of all time. I don't know how you can possibly look at, I don't know how anyone could possibly look at it and say he's not the greatest coach of all time. To take this UNC team that stinks and take them there, that'd be unbelievable.
Yeah. He's going to play against Bill O'Brien now, right? That's same conference.
You would think that'd be interesting.
That would be fun.
By the way,
Yeah, I mean that
Castellanos,
was
speaking of Bill O'Brien, did you see Castellanos is going to Florida State?
no, I didn't.
Yeah. Just,
ACC baby.
another quarterback that can't throw the ball for Florida State. So, I mean, I don't know what they're doing, but sure. Great. Go ahead. It's just like, yeah. Anyways,
No, I mean this could help build his legacy. The
yeah.
flip side of this, I'm also very curious how this is viewed if it doesn't work. Did you
Right.
go and the offensive issues that had plagued New England since parts of that 2018 season are still there, and things look kind of stale, and you know there's a narrative, true or not, that one of the issues in New England the last couple of years has been his inability to modernize on offense, combined with his inability to relate to younger players.
Right.
That
Right.
narrative is going to go into overdrive if he struggles at the college level, and
Oh, yeah.
for some, you're going to get a lot of versions of history, whether they're accurate or not, that's going to say the decline of Bill, started in 2018 when that team struggled and Brady drags him to the Super Bowl and you get one last Bill hurrah, but that things kind of slowly faded off and it was just this gradual decline from then. And I don't know if that's fair or not, but that's going to be the narrative that's out there. And
Right.
we'll see. It's not going to tarnish his legacy, but if his career ends with, 4 or 5 rocky-ish years in New England and then 2 or 3 rocky-ish years in college, that's, not what I think what we would have expected a decade ago.
100%. 100%. And I think that, it is a big risk for him. He wants to be a head coach again. That's for sure. Right. It's definitely a risk. Right. It is definitely a risk. And you're right. If it doesn't work out, if they spend the money, if UNC is willing to spend the money and they're willing to get the guys to go there, or, UNC is willing to spend the money, but guys won't go there because of Belichick's demeanor or because of the way that he acts or whatever the case may be, that certainly has a real chance of tarnishing. Maybe not, as you said, maybe not necessarily tarnishing his legacy, but it leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth, right? Just like the end of the Patriots dynasty kind of leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth with Belichick. He didn't tarnish his legacy, but like you really would have liked to have him be successful through the end of it, and he really wasn't.
Just gets a little uglier than
yeah, and so that's one of those things where it's like you wish that he had been able to do more. And now if he goes to UNC, and it's a 5-year contract, but it's really a 3-year contract, really. So if he goes to UNC and struggles in those 3 years, then you're like, what the heck's going on? Whereas if he goes to UNC and he dominates, or again, not even dominates, just makes them like relevant, their schedule this year is absolute cake. It is an absolute cakewalk. As Boss GM points out, he's not playing BC until 2027 because college football has their lineups all set. Their schedule is set for years in advance, and this is it's wild to think like they're playing a bunch of nobodies this year. And so if they run the table or they go 8-3 or 9-2 or whatever and like make a push, and again they won't necessarily make a push for the ACC championship, but they could get close to it at least. That would be pretty incredible. So then it solidifies his legacy.
I think if you put this into a bigger context too, if it is early December 2025 and we are talking about simultaneously UNC hosting a playoff game and the Patriots are about to fire Gerard Mayo.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
This is, and then you talk about the narratives. It's going to go the other way, which is Tom Brady leaves, goes somewhere else, wins. Bill Belichick gets fired, goes somewhere else, wins.
Right.
And Kraft is going to come under a lot of heat for that, rightfully so.
Right.
And we'll see. By the way, I do want to get my take on the record for this. Of all the issues that Bill Belichick has had, I never thought he had issues relating to the younger players.
No.
the locker room, like the guys still love. Like I did think that was one of the interesting things. Go back to like the Dynasty documentary.
Yeah.
There were a lot of negative things said about Bill Belichick from players that were loved in New England, leaders in New England, and all of them came out later and said, "Yeah, that like those aren't the only things we said. We still love him." And I think that's the dichotomy of Bill Belichick. You are going
Right.
to hate it a lot of the time, but that doesn't mean you can't also love it for what it's doing for you and enriching you and giving you experiences, which is why he's going to recruit well, because players are going to want to be with him just for that experience. To say that, imagine if you're some random 3-star from North Carolina and Bill Belichick's like, yeah, can you come, be our backup punter? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna work. And like, the parents of these kids are gonna be like, yeah, I want my kid playing for Bill Belichick. I want to get to
100%.
say that, and if it doesn't work, I can transfer.
Right. Right.
I think he'll connect with the kids. It's like even when guys don't like him, they like him. They respect him. They know he can do for them.
Yeah.
Just will it be successful? We're gonna find out.
Well, and I think too that's one of those things where, for at least for Belichick, when I look at, what he's done and what he can do, is the fact that, he really has, in my opinion at least, they say what they say, right? Is that winning is fun, right? They always said that winning is fun. It just is what it is, right? So it sucks, and in the moment it sucks, and you don't enjoy it, but you're trying to win, and that's all that matters in that situation. And so I wonder if some of that will rub off on the college kids, if the college kids will rally around that and be excited about the fact that, hey, we get to, like, yeah, all we care about is winning. Who cares about anything else? And they just put their heads down and work, and so I wonder if some of that stuff could work more, in college than it would in the pros, especially if it's new. And I think too the biggest part of it is that, yeah, I'll work my ass off every single day nonstop if it means we're going to win. I'm not going to work my ass off every day nonstop if it means we're going to suck.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can get away with that when you're winning. Can't get away with that when you suck. And so Belichick, of course, nothing's happened in UNC, but the name is there. So for the next year or two, he'll have that situation where he can say, come and work your ass off and we're going to win.
Well,
right?
and that's how it was in New England. Year one didn't go very well. Year two, obviously things get off to the worst possible start. And at that point, not you're not there, but the rumblings there that, all right, maybe this isn't going to work out. Like, and then the buy-in starts to connect, and the winning starts, and I'm curious to see. So much of Bill's advantage has always been his amazing amount of historical knowledge about football, combined with his ability to translate that knowledge into like actionable skill that you can use on a football field. And how much of that works at the college level? Well, like some of this is going to be, he's going to be less familiar with the college game. I'm sure he still watched a lot of college tape throughout the years. Like I'm sure, like there's obviously his scouting, but like I'm sure they watch college tape for ideas. So like he's not going to be totally unfamiliar with it, but he won't have the wealth of knowledge that he had about how things work, like he did in the NFL.
Right.
And then you combine that with the fact that you just have less practice time. You're working with kids who are more immature. You have to deal with egos in a very different way. It might work better, but there's a world where, that attention to detail advantage doesn't translate because the kids don't have the time or the maturity to turn that into anything. And, we've seen Bill have some great defenses. You remember start of 2017 in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And the defense was just coverage bust after coverage bust because the guys weren't on the same page about things. And it took a while for that secondary to figure out what they wanted to be.
Right.
Well, what happens when it's like that, except it's all 18, 19, 20-year-old kids?
Right.
And they don't grow throughout the season because they're frustrated and still, they're emotionally immature and all that kinds of stuff. And like, all right, what happens if those coverage busts are still happening week 10 and you just took a trip to, wherever and lost and you're 6-5 and you're not going to make a bowl game, or, you got to win one to get a bowl, or, whatever it is. Like
Right.
This can go in so many different ways. And I'm sure we're going to hear every narrative after every single one of these games.
Oh, we are.
Too.
Oh, yes,
he's going to lose. He's probably going to lose one he shouldn't, or he's going to win one that he shouldn't. And if he wins a big game early, it's going to be the Bill Belichick experiences here, crown a national champion right away.
Right.
And vice versa. If they lose early, people might start to bail.
100%.
And it's not 1-to-1, but look at Dion in Colorado. Last year they had the attention, but it was rough, really up and down. This year, much better team. It built on what they did last year and improved.
Yep.
And I think that's what you want to see with Belichick, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right,
You're also starting from a higher place because UNC is in a much better spot, I think.
I would agree. Yes, I would agree. And I don't know if they play a much easier schedule, but they definitely, I think, play an easier schedule than.
I haven't looked at UNC's schedule for next year.
UNC's schedule, and I looked at it. I forget. Someone posted it. I haven't looked at it. UNC football schedule 2025. Yeah, it's like, hold on. I'll pull it up.
I've got it. Oh, man. Oh, but game 1 is interesting. They play TCU in the opener at home.
Yes. So that one could be a tough one. But then it's at Charlotte, Richmond, at UCF, at Cal, at NC State, Clemson. Tough game. Duke at home, Stanford at home, UVA at home, at Syracuse, at Wake Forest. Clemson's a tough game. TCU's a tough game. And NC State maybe could be a tough game. They should win every other one of those games, right?
But the flip side again,
who knows?
If they're a mediocre team, then so many of these games are just toss-ups. You don't know what's going to happen. Which is what is this going to look like if UNC has to win games at Syracuse and at Wake to end the season? If that's how it is, I don't know if this is in order or this is just who their opponents are.
I think, it's interesting because they have. So they have interesting. So 2026, they're playing at home against Notre Dame on Saturday, October 3rd. And then they're playing at Clemson, at Duke. The out of conference ones are scheduled ahead of time. The in conference ones are not.
Yeah, they'll get that soon, I think.
You know what I mean? So, but that's 2026. So, but anyways,
well, what happens if Bill's got to go win a game at Syracuse in the Carrier Dome to go be bowl eligible, that type of thing? What does that look like?
Yeah,
and that's a whole lot of words I just put together. I didn't think I'd ever hear come out of my mouth.
Yep.
But what happens? What happens if in week 2 of the college football season, the Bill Belichick coached UNC Tar Heels lose a game at Charlotte?
Yeah, be wild, wouldn't it? So, anyways, all right, let's get into our first ad read, and then we're going to do our we got a little mock draft, and then we'll talk some Patriots Cardinals.
Yeah.
So, of course, our ad read here is for Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 200 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Make your holidays bigger and brighter with Prize Picks, the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. One of the things I love about Prize Picks is that the turnaround is so fast. I can get my winnings almost instantly after I win, and they also use Venmo now for deposits and withdrawals, which to me is just, I don't know if you use Venmo. I use Venmo. It's so easy, and I love being able to do that. My picks for this week, I'm going with Patrick Mahomes for more than 0.5 passing yards. They're giving you a free square, ladies and gentlemen. 0.5 passing yards for Patrick Mahomes. I'm going Jonnu Smith for more than 46.5 receiving yards. And I'm going Pop Douglas for more than 38.5 receiving yards. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to download the Prize Picks app. You're going to put in the promo code CLNS, and you're going to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't have to win your lineup. You just have to play a $5 lineup, and you get $50 instantly. Again, download the Prize Picks app. Put in the promo code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All right. So let's get into this mock draft. We have an idea. Should be out on Pass Pulpit in the morning or at some point tomorrow. But we are doing a dueling mock draft. And here's the idea behind it, just to set the stage for everyone. The Patriots right now are drafting third. So we are having the Patriots draft third. We are only doing the top 3 rounds, which means their first 4 picks. And we are having no trades, no trade backs, no trade ups, no nothing. So we're drafting at the spot that they're drafting at. That way, it's just easy. We're using Tankathon for it. We're just saying that's all we're doing. We're not touching anything else. And so again, these picks may not be exactly where they are, especially for the one they traded for. But nevertheless, that's what we decided to do. So, would you like to start off the mock draft at number 3 for your pick, Matt, or do you want me to go?
I don't mind going. I think this is actually perfect timing for this too, given award night in college football right now. So this is the current mock setup has the Patriots picking at 3 behind the Raiders and Giants. So in this hypothetical, it's 2 quarterbacks off the board to start the draft, and the draft starts with New England there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking Travis Hunter. I gotta watch the highlights. I've seen the clips. I didn't watch Travis Hunter film until this past week. I think his corner tape is better than Christian Gonzalez.
It's insane. That's ridiculous.
His wide receiver tape is like legit wide receiver 1 stuff. Like they said it. So on the Ringer Fantasy Show, they did their mock draft this week. And I don't remember which one of the guys said it, but he was like, when you watch him play receiver, movement-wise, he looks like Justin Jefferson. And it's 100% correct. He's got that same like lanky, kind of sneaky speed.
Yeah.
But ability to stop on a dime. And so to break it down, and in case people don't know Travis Hunter, don't follow college football, he plays wide receiver and corner for Colorado. He's played over 700 snaps at each of those positions for the Buffaloes this season. He just won the awards for, what was it?
Defensive Player of the Year.
Defensive Player of the Year, the Benerick, and the Wide Receiver of the Year, the Blinikoff. He won both of those awards.
He literally won the defense. He was voted college football's best defensive player and voted college football's best wide receiver. This is not Marcus Jones. Love Marcus Jones. This is not Marcus Jones, who played cornerback, return kicks to, and played a little bit of offense. This is not Charles Woodson, who is an incredible corner, again, great punt returner, and played a little bit of offense on Michigan. This is a guy that plays every single snap on both sides of the football. Every snap.
And it's like his ability, too, is like will he max out his ceiling at both positions? Almost definitely not. But it isn't unfair to like make a Sauce Gardner comparison as a corner and to make a Justin Jefferson comparison as a receiver.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
This is not like, obviously wide receiver is a position of need, corner isn't necessarily, but like he's the best player in this draft. Just take the best player. If I'm New England, what I'm doing is I'm making him a day 1 starter on defense. I'm going to give him packages on offense.
Yes.
I'm going to say,
that's
we're going to put you in the 2-minute drill. We're going to put you on some 3rd and 4th down stuff. We're going to put you in our red zone stuff, and we're going to go from there. And then after year 1, you reevaluate, and you see how he handled all of that. And you see, all right, can he do more? Should he do less? If he can play receiver, I think you'd rather him be a receiver than a corner if you have to pick one of them. So, if he improves at receiver throughout the year, all right, well, year 2, we're just going to make him a receiver, and he's just going to do that full time.
Yeah.
And then for his skill set as a receiver, too, he's like an X receiver. So he runs vertical routes really well. One thing I noticed on the tape, he does what's called stemming the route well. So the initial like vertical part of the route, what the receiver is trying to do pretty much all the time in that is get the corner to flip his hips in a certain direction so he can get an advantage to create space.
Exactly.
And the way he's able to sell routes to get the corners to like flip their hips and then just snap off a route and he's wide open underneath all the time. His ball skills are crazy. Like he's an elite. He's like the best. If he's a corner, he's going to have the most interceptions if he gets targeted because he has like Randy Moss ability almost to go up and make catches.
It's insane. He's so talented. He's so much fun. He's going to win the Heisman too. I mean, he has to win the Heisman. He has to. Like, whatever. I don't want to get into the whole Gianti thing, but he's doing something that nobody in the history of college football has ever done.
Yeah,
it's certainly not at the level that he's doing it. It's insane.
Which is why I say, like, people say, like, all right, he's a corner or he's a receiver. No, do not pigeonhole him. Part of the reason he's so valuable is that he is like
he can do both.
He has the stamina and the mental ability to play both essentially full time at the college level. That's unbelievable. You keep pushing this ability until you find the limit,
right?
And then once you find the limit, you set the new ground.
To readjust. I mean, let's be realistic about it, right? Here's a guy that plays both sides of the ball 120 snaps a game. He's been doing it for 2 years. Has he missed a game or he's missed like a game or two? Yeah. That's it. He's playing. It's not like he's hurt all the time. He's playing. And so, that's one of those things where I'm in agreement with you. I think part of the reason that makes him so good is that he has both skill sets. And so you draft him and you let him play both ways. Not full-time, but you let him play both ways. You try to develop him as a corner, and then you put in packages for wide receiver and then see where it goes from there. I think that's 100% the right call. So,
yeah. And then for the numbers on this, he has played over 3,000 snaps in his college career between offense and defense. It's like 1,200-ish on offense and 1,800-ish on defense.
It's insane. It's completely insane.
Like his stamina is crazy. And if you look long term, like I don't think he's going to play both ways.
He can't.
His whole career in the NFL,
right?
But for like his rookie contract, yeah. By year 4 or 5, you probably know which side he's better on, and he's going to play that full time or almost full time. Like maybe he's just going to be a corner, but we can use it for trick plays on offense,
right?
Like maybe you do that, or vice versa. He's going to be a receiver, but he'll also be our 5th defensive back if someone gets hurt.
Yeah. Yep. Ooh, what a terrible interception by Purdy. All right, let's go to my pick. We love your pick. Let's go to my pick.
Yes.
My pick. We went back and forth about this. It's funny because I was like, I'm definitely taking Travis Hunter. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to pivot. And then you were like, yeah, I'm not taking Travis Hunter either. And you were like, oh my God, I just watched the film. I have to take Travis Hunter.
Yeah, I was like,
I've been telling you. So anyway, for me at pick 3, I had the pick taking Abdul Carter, edge from Penn State. Let me hit you with some numbers, Matt. The Patriots have 27 sacks through 13 games. Good for 6th worst in the NFL. Not great. If you were to take out just the Bears game, where they had 9 sacks against the Bears. The Patriots had 9 sacks against the Bears, which is completely insane. But they had 9 sacks against the Bears. If you take out the Bears game, the Patriots have 18 sacks in 12 games. That's a sack and a half a game. Listen, to call the Patriots pass rush anemic would be a compliment. It is an embarrassment. They have 0 pressure on the quarterback. They can do nothing. To add to that fact, Keon White has been one of the most efficient pass rushers from the inside. The problem is they don't have anyone that can rush the passer on the outside. Yeah. Enter Abdul Carter. Freak athlete, guy who played off-the-ball linebacker last year, transitioned full-time to edge this year. He's an absolute game-wrecking stud. Are there some issues with the pass, with stopping the run and things? Absolutely. But he is such a freak athlete, and those are the types of guys that you have to have that can rush the passer. I absolutely love him, and I think that would be really I'm a big fan of him there at 3. I don't know if the Patriots will do it. I know the edge class is really, is really deep. So maybe it's not worth it to take. I don't know, but like, my goodness, like I can see throwing him in a defense and he just gets 10 sacks a year every year for the next however many years. You know what I
More.
mean?
Yeah,
More.
no,
Right. Yeah.
and I like him. He's got versatility. I think you can line him up in a number of spots.
Yeah.
He's not like a super stout run defender, but he's so fast that he can make up for it. So
Yes.
like if you run away from him at all, he can chase plays down from the backside because of his speed. He makes plays on like passes down the field too because he's fast enough to get downfield and get involved. Like he looks like Joshua Uche, but souped up. Like
Yes.
more athleticism, like more refined as a pass rusher right
I was
now.
gonna say he actually has some pass rushing moves too, unlike Joshua Uche.
Yeah. It's just like a real special talent. I got to watch a little bit more of the film, but like the flashes are so good, and he can just like dial up a sack at any point. I think that's one of the things that makes him so dangerous because of the speed. Is that he can be silent all game, and then the big play where you need him, he'll make that play. So,
Yep.
and excited, he'll be in the college football playoff. Penn State hosting SMU, so we'll get to see him.
Yep.
On the big stage right there, and yeah, somebody said it reminds him of Micah Parsons. Yeah, because he wears 11 for Penn State. That number will get you. But even who was the Chop Robinson? He was the
Chop Robinson. Yeah.
pass rusher last year. Watching his film last year, I was like, I just kept watching 11. It was like, this dude's fast.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be the number. It's got to be the number. Edelman was smart. Of course, it didn't look fast when Drew Bledsoe was wearing it, but
didn't look fast when Tyquan Thornton was wearing it.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Are we going to see? That would actually be crazy, though, to see Julian Edelman's number worn by, an edge rusher in New England.
That'd be interesting. That'd be really interesting. So,
yeah.
Also, 6th and 2nd says Parsons fell off. Parsons did not fall off. The Cowboys are just absolutely terrible. Parsons, I think, was hurt for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think I'm going to go, and then we'll go back to you. How's that sound?
Yeah. Yeah.
So my second round pick, this is what, pick 35, I believe it is.
I think it's
I'm going, what?
40.
That can't be right.
It's because there's a tie.
Oh, because all the ties. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. This is side note. Shout out Anthony Lawson, who was on the show before. He tweeted this out earlier that at this point last year, there were like 3 teams in the NFL that only had 3 wins. And this year, there's like 8 teams that only have 3 wins or fewer.
Everyone's just tanking. And it's not even a draft class. It's crazy.
It's funny because you go to like Tankathon and it's all right. Raiders and Giants both 2-11, and then 6 teams at 3-10.
Yeah, it's wild.
If the Pats won Travis Hunter, they gotta lose the last 4.
They sure do. They sure do. So, all right. My pick at pick number 40 is Josh Conerly, offensive tackle from Oregon. Here's the thing with the offensive tackle situation: the top of the draft class, right? The very top of the guys. You're talking about Banks. You're talking about Campbell. The guys that are at the very top, that are going to be drafted in the first round. There's a lot of questions about whether those guys are true tackles. Do they have the arm length? Do they have, are they big enough? That's a problem, man. They're not even in the league, and there are questions about that. Now, that may not matter. Those guys might play tackle for a long time in the NFL, and it doesn't make a difference. That scares me. All right. Conerly has the size to do it. He doesn't have old offensive line coach jargon would be, he doesn't have a lot of sand in his pants. And so he's not like the most aggressive pass run blocker, I'm sorry. But he has the ability and the athleticism to play left tackle in the NFL. And matter of fact, in the Big Ten championship game against the guy just drafted at number 3 overall, Abdul Carter, he put some really, really nice tape out there. Really nice tape. He didn't get a lot of one-on-one opportunities against him, but when he did a really nice job stuffing him. And so, I like him a lot. He played running back in high school, and he's playing left tackle now. So like the guy is obviously a
Athlete.
freak athlete, and that's the exact type of guy that you want. And listen, right now he's lower than this on the consensus big board. I think he was somewhere around like 55 or 60. But like I feel like when he gets to the college football playoff, and you see how he's playing, and especially you bring in that dual Carter tape as well. I feel like he's going to end up being higher than that, and be somewhere at that end of the first round, top of the second round type of spot, and so that's why I took him.
Yeah, no, I like this. One of the reasons, so I don't have an offensive lineman here in the second round. One of the reasons for that is because I just think they should address it in free agency and
Yeah.
not worry about it in the draft. If they decide to go this route, I love the potential Connerly pick here.
Yeah.
I think it's that's with this tackle class. If he is still there, this is really, really good value for someone they can develop into, your tackle of the future.
Which by the way, I think even if they do go after a tackle, even if they sign, I don't know, pick the tackle. Even if they sign a left tackle,
Ronnie Stanley.
sure, Ronnie Stanley, that's a good one because he's probably the best one out there. Even if they sign Ronnie Stanley, I'd still like them to make this pick because I think he has the athleticism to play right tackle as well. And I'm not sold on Caden Wallace yet. Maybe Caden Wallace goes up to the next 4 games and we're like, holy crap, this guy's a beast and he's playing fantastic and whatever, right? Maybe that's the case. But like, I don't know. Are the Patriots going to go out and sign 2 starting tackles? If they don't, then it's like they still have a need there. So that's why to me, even if you do go out and address left tackle, you may not need a left tackle, but like you need guys that can play. And if you think this kid can play, you take him there. You can't have what happened the last few years where your offensive line is just an absolute like dumpster fire. And so that's why for me, I like the idea of taking him.
Well, like that's even if you sign 2 starting tackles, if you like a tackle,
right,
take one. Like just keep them coming. There's nobody at this point. Nobody on this offensive line has played well enough that they should feel secure in a job for next year, except for probably Mike Owenu. By the way, I see Boss GM in the comments talking about this free agency class for tackle. I'll just call out the specific names that I had in mind, which is Ronnie Stanley or Cam Robinson at left tackle and Morgan Moses at right tackle. We'll see if that pans out. We'll see what happens there. But I think that's good enough to band-aid the problem for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then
and then try to draft someone, try to draft a guy, in the second or third or fourth round and see if you can develop him, right? See if Caden Wallace develops into a starting right tackle. And if he does, then you're like, all right, I feel good about Ronnie Stanley at left tackle. And yeah, maybe we didn't love, what's his name at right tackle? Who the hell's the guy you just said? It just flew out of my
Morgan
mind.
Moses.
Morgan Moses. Maybe we don't love Morgan Moses at right tackle, but if Caden Wallace is developing a good player now, Morgan Moses isn't playing in there. You know what I mean? So I think that that's one of those things. So
yep. My pick here in the second round. So I went. It's funny because Pat and I have been prepping for this all week, and I sent him all kinds of names who I wanted to take in this spot. And I actually am writing down the other piece, and I've totally abandoned my list. We're giving Dante Hightower a friend. Bringing in another Bama linebacker, Jihad Campbell, who another linebacker that wears 11. Campbell is just athletic, really solid linebacker. He's gotten better each of his 3 seasons at Alabama. He's still pretty young, really athletic, has been a good coverage guy and gotten better throughout the season in coverage. And he can play every spot at linebacker. They'll line him up off the ball. They'll have him blitz. They'll have him go on the edge and play the edge. That's the kind of linebacker that this defense needs. They haven't been able to generate pass rush this year with their linebackers, really. They haven't been able to stop the run. They haven't been able to cover the middle of the field. So getting somebody young who kind of plays the Jelani Tavai role, but who has that athleticism, that upside to become a really like a Pro Bowl level guy, if you max him out. Let him develop with Dante Hightower, who, a guy who came up in that same program there.
True.
And but then, Bentley's getting older too, so you're going to need to replace him long term. So this is a guy who can probably be a role player for you year 1. hopefully develops into a starter by the end of year 1. Year 2, you're hoping he's really a starter, and by year 3, you'd love for him to take over the green dot on the defense, a key player for you.
That's a good. I mean, I like that a lot, man. You need that guy. You need guys like that on the defense. The defense
Yeah.
doesn't have a ton of speed. It feels slow at times. And so adding athletic, fast guys in all of those areas, right? Whether it's, D end or, edge or D tackle or linebacker or safety or corner, like you need to add more speed and athleticism on defense. And so I like the idea of doing that. And of course, you're doing it at linebacker where the Patriots clearly have a need, right? Now, obviously, clearly Jawan Bentley's hurt. That hurts the Patriots this year. But it's not as though like 4 guys are hurt. It's 1 guy that's hurt. And so, yeah, some guys are playing out of position. They're slotted out a little bit, but like that worries me that like 1 guy's hurt and now they're linebackers look like trash. Like that's not great, And like I like John Tavai a lot. He plays a specific role. If he's not in that role, he doesn't look good. Right. And so like he can't play the Jawan Bentley role. He's got a role, he just can't play that other role.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe this kid can do that, right? And maybe he won't be able to do it like day 1, but maybe he can develop into a guy that can do that eventually. And I think that that's valuable where he may not play the Jawan Bentley role right away. He may not even play it while Bentley's here. But if Bentley goes down or, if Bentley's hurt for a game or 2 or whatever the case may be, he can step in and play that role.
Well, and he can also, like you talk about the Alabama linebacker legacy, like there's some Mack Wilson to his game.
Yeah.
Especially with like he's 245, so he's not quite the 250 that sometimes you like out of your like run stopping linebacker, but he's over 240. He's fast. He hits hard. I'm like, all right, well that's Mack Wilson. So if you get a chance with Mack Wilson as an athlete, but you're getting him young and the opportunity to groom him into a guy who's not just a situational pass rusher type. Rotational linebacker, but into someone who can be a 3-down backer for you. I really like that with where this defense is. The spine of this defense needs to be really good.
Yeah, I agree.
They got to keep investing in it. Yeah. All right. Now we're on to the 3rd round.
Yes.
This is going to be still me, I believe.
Yes.
So this is, I'm going to have to watch a little bit more tape on him, but I've heard a lot of people talking about him, did some research, found some clips. I think I'm all in on this guy. Once I get some more film, this guy's I think might be my guy in this draft. Talking about Mr. Gray Zabel. You haven't heard of Gray Zabel? He is an offensive lineman from North Dakota State. They produce a lot of guys for the NFL.
Love it.
Played there for 5 years. He's played every single spot on the line. All 5 spots, at least 200 snaps at every spot that isn't center. He's probably a guard in the NFL. I don't think he has the length to be a tackle.
Yeah.
But this North Dakota State offense, it's like all running, very diverse run schemes. You got to be able to move. And it's like, all right, if we get a guy who can be a guard, who can move and who can hit people and who's experienced, that's a guy who in theory can step in right away as a starter at left guard, can be a backup center, maybe can be a backup right guard. If they want to shuffle things around, maybe he starts at, maybe other things work out for you. He starts at right guard and we're going to kick on when we back out to tackle for next year. We're going to try that. Or if things go a little bit better than expected, he can at least be a swing tackle for you. He can figure into being a backup there with his experience. Right? And maybe he isn't a full-time starter there, but he just seems useful, especially for the offense that they want to run. And, you can plug all 5 holes on the line. This team's had so many depth issues that alone.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
His experience can play all 5 spots, can run block. They need that right now. So Gray's able, baby.
So what's interesting is that one of the guys that I loved last year coming out of the draft was Tanner Bortolini. And Tanner Bortolini, same type of situation, played all over the line at NC State. NC State, right? You went to NC, right? I had my
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. I had my red schools mixed up. I had my
Close.
red schools mixed up. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, NC State doesn't sound right. That doesn't make sense. Yes, Patino Bortolini played all over the line. Actually, he played a little center too. I
Yeah.
think he's actually starting center for Indy now, who drafted him.
I'm on
Because
it right now.
they've had a few injuries on the offensive line. So Bortolini goes in the 5th round. I think.
Fourth, 118. And he's played
Oh, right.
348 snaps this year. Or
See?
349, 348 of them have been at center.
At center, right? I thought that their center got hurt, and so he was playing center. I think that Zabel has a little bit of a higher upside, just athletically, I think, right? And so you can see him maybe getting drafted around earlier than Bortolini did, but yeah, having depth all over the line is a good thing, right? It's a good thing. I know Mike Onwenu is your starting right guard. Who's your starting left guard? Is it Cole Strange? Yeah, I guess. Do you love that? I don't love that. Does anyone love that? Like, I can't imagine you do. And so, that's one of those things where I'm okay with taking a guard in that situation. So I like that. I like that pick quite a bit. And what a name, dude. Gray Zabel, too. Come on now. Come on. All right, my third round pick, my first third round pick. I'm going back on the defense, and I'm going to cornerback specifically, and I'm going with Denzel Burke from Ohio State. So Denzel Burke is a guy that was rated, has been rated low, but was considered one of the best corners in college football, and then got absolutely toasted against Oregon, just toasted. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think that he has the athleticism and the length to play outside corner in the NFL. We're still looking for a real outside corner, opposite Christian Gonzalez. And I think that's one of those things for me where it's like, if we can find that guy, I think that would be a huge thing for the Patriots. Now, do they need Denzel Burke out there? Not necessarily. But you need a second corner. And so I like him. I do like the fact also he's like physical in the run game. And so does he have flaws to his game? Yeah, of course. Because if he didn't, he wouldn't be taken in the 3rd round. He'd be taken in the 1st round, right? But I like him. I like him quite a bit. And so Denzel Burke is my pick at the top of the 3rd round.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's funny. It's not 1-to-1, but like when I hear Ohio State corner who is supposed to be taken really high and then got burned in front of on national TV, I'm like, oh, it's Sean Wade again.
Not great. Not ideal.
I think he's better than Sean.
I think so too. Yeah. So
he was on my short list at one point in here.
Yeah,
like it's a solid player. They need that at corner right now, and especially because like Marcus Jones has been good. He's a slot guy. I think he's a corner 3 in the NFL. Jonathan Jones, he hasn't been awful, but you can tell the age is starting to get there, and they need to plan for the future. And I liked what we've seen from Alex Austin, but I haven't liked it so much that I'm not going to throw draft picks at the position if I like a player.
Well, and that's really what it comes down to, right? Is how much do you like it? And Alex Austin and Marcus Jones, although I like them both, don't mean that we're not gonna take someone. So, so we go from there.
Yep. And then I think we got Matt Judon pick here.
Yes, back to me for the Matthew Judon special. And I'm going back to the offensive side of the ball, and I'm going to wide receiver. And I'm going all the way to Utah State with Jalen Royals. Jalen Royals, the big play ability. You talk about big play ability. Jalen Royals brings big play ability to the table. And the Patriots need that. But he's not just a deep threat. Right? He brings deep play ability, which is great. But he also is a good route runner, and he also has great hands. And so for that reason, and look, the Patriots have a million young wide receivers, right? None of them have separated themselves from the pack. I like Pop Douglas, but like even he hasn't shown that like he's a guy that you can't replace. You want to build around Pop. None of those guys have shown that they're a guy that you really truly want to build around. Jalen Royals was in the middle of having a great year, or was starting, was going to be having a great year, and he broke his foot or hurt his foot out for the year. Now, he has accepted an invite to the Reese's Senior Bowl. I don't know if he's going to compete at this. I assume he's going to compete at the Senior Bowl. But anyways, maybe he'll get to show kind of what he can do against the true top end talent at the Senior Bowl, or against other players of his ilk. But I'm a fan of him quite a bit. So we'll see what happens. But Jalen Royals, Utah State is my final pick.
He's that big play. He's averaged 3 yards per route run this year, which is really high. That's like top 10 for guys in this class.
Yeah,
like that's really good.
Yeah.
What's funny is that it's actually funny because I just picked up on this. So he's averaging that, and then the two of the other guys at the top are Torrey Horton out of Colorado State, Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. All three of these are guys who've gotten hurt this season. And I do wonder if these numbers are bumped up a little bit by the fact that like most of their play was against like out of conference teams.
It's a good point.
Yeah, but like I like Royals, especially at this point in the draft. And
yeah,
I haven't taken a swing at receiver here or corner, and that's because I took Travis Hunter.
Right,
but
which makes sense
because I didn't need to. But like Trey Harris was something a guy I was thinking about in the second. Royals is a guy who was on my board here in the third. If I'm not taking Travis Hunter, like this is really good. And you just keep throwing picks at receiver and money at receiver until you fix it. Like that's all you can do.
Yep, agreed.
Yep. Pat Bryant getting some love in the chat right now too. Another receiver. I know people love him. I have not watched a single play yet, so that's on my list.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
all right, sir. Finish us off, my friend.
Going with Mr. Alfred Collins.
Oh yeah.
Defensive tackle from Texas. This dude is big. He's strong. He could have come out last year. I think went back to Texas. Got better as a run defender. Still learning as a pass rusher, but like fixing the spine of this defense is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And when Barmore went down, I mean they had nothing at defensive tackle except when Godchaux's fine.
Right.
Godchaux's an older guy. He's not going to be around for forever. Their depth of the position stinks. I see a big athlete like this who's put some really nice plays on tape. I'm throwing the pick that direction. They just need more athleticism in that area of the defense. Like if their offense has issues, I think May can mask them. This defense needs talent because it doesn't have enough, and a lot of the guys who are supposed to be core players are getting older and will need to be replaced. So, Alfred Collins. This is from a tweet from earlier this season, but this is from last month. At this point in the year, this point last month, he had an 89 overall PFF run defense grade. So good.
Pretty good.
320 pounds, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
6'5", 320.
I'm a big fan of that. Big fan of that.
Well, like if he can, I think one of the key parts here is unlocking the defense, and it's like my second pick, that linebacker, Jihad Campbell. He's a guy who can in some way step in and play the Jelani Tavai role right away.
Yep.
Well, with Bentley next to him. So he's got a path to play right now, and he makes Bentley better.
Yeah.
And in theory, as he grows, if Tavai sticks around, he can make Tavai better. Like you can use him to do that. Collins is a guy who, all right, you slot him in probably as your third defensive tackle right away. He's also going to be one of your nose tackles. If he can play nose tackle, he'll be right up over the center. All right, well, now Barmore is in a more advantageous position to rush the passer and do what he does. Now Godchaux can play just like regular defensive tackle where he plays a lot better than he does than true nose tackle.
Yeah.
It's the cascading effect of the way it can impact the rest of your unit that matters here too with those two picks where I really like the fit.
Yeah. Listen, I love it. I think that the Patriots haven't done a good enough job at D tackle. I really wish and not that it matters, but like, man, imagine if they had drafted Devondre Sweat in the second round at 37, right? Instead of Jalen Polk, how much different their defensive line would look right now with Devondre Sweat in there. I mean, he's playing so well right now for Tennessee, and so that's the type of guy that that you want to see. Anyways, so I like this pick a lot. I like this pick a lot. So
yeah, and I like your I think either way here, the team will be in a good spot. I just saw this comment, so I'm just going to throw it out there because there's a draft connection to it. Old Man Mob mentioning Javon Holland saying if he leaves the Dolphins, Patriot throw a bag at him. I forget who it was now who said it. I think it was Dane Brugler. Can't say for sure. He did his first mock draft. And I want to say he had the Dolphins taking Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia. And the comment was basically that the Dolphins haven't loved Holland's play this year in a contract year.
Okay.
And then I saw that, and I went to his PFF page, and it was way worse than I expected it to be. So I haven't watched the tape on him. But I found that interesting because I've always liked Holland, and I've always thought he was a pretty good player.
Yeah.
But they're not. Sounds like that might not be the opinion in the building there in Miami, and maybe that's. And we'll see. I also think it's notable that they ran that whole defense ran Vic Fangio out of town last year. And now he's with Philly with the best defense in the league. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
That does, from a culture perspective, that concerns me. If they can run Vic Fangio out, I don't know if Holland had any role in that. If they can run Vic Fangio out of town, I don't want them with whoever our defensive coordinator is going to be next year. Because if it's DeMarcus Covington, he's still going to be young and growing.
Right.
And if we're bringing in somebody new, it's going to be their first year here. The last thing you want is someone who might have issues. So I don't know if that's Holland specifically, but
I agree. By the way, someone did mention safety as well. One of the guys on my list was Jahdae Barron, the corner from Texas.
Oh, yeah.
He as I think I'm going to get this right, as Gen Z would say, he's giving McCourty. He's giving Devin McCourty. Reminds me of McCourty. He's the same type of player. He's not Devin McCourty, but he's the same type of player in the fact that he's a willing run defender. He's fast. He's a good coverage guy, and he has good range. And and he's big too. When I hear a guy like that, I think okay, if it doesn't work out at corner, he can make the transition to safety, right? And again, not everyone can do that, right? But I do like the idea of having a guy that had some position flexibility. So I originally had him in the second round, and then I decided to change it only because I wanted to go offensive tackle instead. But anyways, I like Barron quite a bit. So
I'll throw out a couple other names of guys I was thinking of in this too, just names to watch. While we're talking corner, Will Johnson from Michigan. His tape's not as good as Travis Hunter. That's not a knock on him. His tape's so good.
Right.
He's a really good zone corner. He's very good at just kind of finding the right spot to sit, quick enough at recognizing plays to get to, the catch point and make a play on the ball. The USC game, early in the USC game, he has a play where he sees the play coming immediately, comes downhill at the receiver full speed and just slams him as the ball is getting in there and knocks it out. And then near the end of the game, he has one where he does the same thing, but he beats the ball there, picks it off, takes it to the house. And next to Christian Gonzalez, I think that's really interesting because it gives you one guy who's the shutdown man guy and one who's a shutdown zone corner. And I'm very curious how that would work.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. It would certainly be interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah. Mason Graham in what do you call it? Yeah. Defensive tackle from Michigan. Super solid player. He was initially going to be my pick here. The team has to get better up the middle. Mason Graham's a good player up the middle. Don't overthink it. If that's what you want to do on defense, I'm fine with that. You got to give Will Campbell the shout out here. I got into more of his tape, and he's a good player. I have my questions about if he's a tackle at the next level, but he's a good player. And the nice thing about him is that I feel like if it doesn't work at left tackle, he's gonna be a good left guard.
Yeah.
And if he's gonna be a good left guard, okay. Like, I don't love using a top 5 pick on a guard, but we saw how expensive the guard market got this offseason.
Right.
And in New England's running scheme, that position is so important. Like, I'm not going to be thrilled if they end up using the number 3 overall pick on a guy who ends up being a guard. But I also don't hear Colts fans complaining about Quentin Nelson.
That's quite true. That is quite true.
So if he's good, he's good. Don't overthink it there. And then just another position is tight end. So I really wanted to take a tight end with one of these picks. But Colston Loveland from Michigan is probably going to go middle of the first, so kind of no man's land for them. Tyler Warren from Penn State is looking to be something like the same thing right now. And then there's a big gulf. The consensus board right now doesn't have someone until Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green in the 70s.
Yeah.
I like him. He is not a blocker. And when I say not a block, like
he can't do it.
Like to the point where I watch the film and I just skip through the blocking snaps because there's nothing to analyze. Like
Right.
It's just he's not even in front of the dude. I can't look at footwork. Yeah. I can't look at handwork. There's nothing. He's just fast though. Good receiver. I don't think he is their type.
No, I don't think so either. No. And I will say I love the idea of Tyler Warren. I even would be okay with a trade up back into the first round to get Tyler Warren if he drops. And I'm trying to remember where Noah Fant went because I remember Iowa that year had Hawkinson and Fant, and Hawkinson went I think 9th or something like that, and Fant I think dropped all the way into the 20s and ended up going to Denver. But anyways, either way, I think that Tyler Warren's just a monster. I would love to see it, but again, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. Right, to expend that much, but to me, he's the best receiver. He's the best all-around tight end in college football. But we'll see.
Maybe it's my Michigan bias. I'm even wearing the sweatshirt right now.
Yeah,
but I like Loveland more. I got in some Tyler Warren tape. He's interesting. The Ohio State game, they lined him up in the Wildcat. He was the guy taking the snap in the Wildcat and just threw it. He ran, a big run. He's an athlete. I just don't think it translates to the route running yet. I think Loveland is a better route runner right now.
Yeah.
And Loveland has had a little bit of a down year, which is more of Michigan's offense didn't know what it was until mid-November thing than anything else.
Yeah.
If there's a world where they're trading back from 3 to 12, I don't hate Loveland there. That's obviously a little bit rich for tight end in general, but they need to weaponize the offense.
Yeah.
Tight ends can be a weapon.
Oh my god! Imagine the uproar if the Patriots took a tight end at 12.
If they went the Lions route too, if they took a running back, tight end, a linebacker,
people would lose their mind.
But this team fundamentally just needs good football players.
Correct.
That doesn't really matter what position.
That's more true than anything else. I agree with that. Yeah. So, all right, let's take our last break because we still have to do our picks and talk about the Arizona game. We got I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to talk about the Arizona game because I got to get to bed.
We don't even need to get that deep into it.
So yeah.
We'll do it quick. All right. Well, I'm here to talk to you guys about game time. You know what's going on. College football playoff is here. If you guys are trying to go, who doesn't love the atmosphere of college football? And it's going to be unbelievable for the playoff this year. I'm so excited for that. That is going to be unbelievable. If you want to get tickets for it, Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, is going to make that faster, easier, simpler, everything. Can't recommend it enough. And here's how you use it. Get that Game Time app. You're going to go into it. You're going to find the event you want to go to. Let's say it's the SMU at Penn State game. Say it's the Tennessee at Ohio State game. Or let's say you want to see, the Patriots host the Chargers in a few weeks. You're going to go find that game in there. Then you can hit the Game Time Picks button. It's going to filter out everything for you. It's going to show you just the best value seats that you're going to find. It's going to show you the cheapest seat in the arena, in the stadium, so you can get there easy. You can hit all-in pricing, so that price you see is the price that you're going to pay. You can click on that, and you're going to click on the seat, and you're going to see what the view is going to be from that section. It's all fantastic stuff. It makes it easy. and you can buy, like right up until right before the game when it gets super cheap. So I highly recommend using it. I've used it a number of times, and you take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
All right. All right, let's get into the Arizona Cardinals. As you can see, I actually turned my lights up so you can actually see what the hell's going on. The kids used the dimmer down here, and it was pretty dark, but now it's light. Arizona Cardinals, Patriots in Arizona on Sunday at 4:30, or 4:25, I guess. But Arizona, man, what do you think about? I don't know. Kyler just.
I still can't tell.
I have no idea.
This team is the Cardinals have been like up and down. They've been more down lately, and I can't tell if that's like they're coming back down to earth, or if it's they just happened to lose a couple games recently. They played some close games. They're a quality team. They're well coached on offense. They like to. It's funny because they have the smallest quarterback in Kyler Murray. Then they'll put like 3 tight ends out there.
Yeah.
They have an interesting offense there.
Trey McBride, by the way, speaking of tight end, Trey McBride he's my fantasy tight end on two of my playoff teams. He's a guy. He's having an incredible year. He has 80 receptions for 851 yards.
But what doesn't he have?
0 touchdowns. It's incredible. It's incredible. And like when you look at in a full PPR league, the guy averages. I mean, it's complete insanity. So if I said to you a guy had 0 touchdowns for the year, you'd be like, well, it's almost a waste to have him as a fantasy guy. First of all, he's the number 3 ranked tight end. His last 6 games, 14 points, 21.6, 25.3, 11.1, 12.7, 21.4. He catches the ball so much and has over 100 yards or close to 100 yards. I mean, 12 for 133, 12 for 96, 7 for 7. I mean, it's ridiculous. But they won't throw the ball in the red zone. The Cardinals are a terrible red zone team. They're not a terrible close red zone team, right? They get the ball inside the 5-yard line. They're pretty good red zone wise. James Conner's a very good running back. And so, he scores some touchdowns in there. But like that mid red zone, that like 10 to 15 yards, they're just not that good in that high red zone. And Chad Ryland's been winning games for them as their kicker because they can't score touchdowns, Yeah.
When they have the ball, I'm really looking forward to. So I want to see how they cover Trey McBride. And tight ends have been an issue for a while for this defense. But this has got to be a big Kyle Duggar game.
Yep.
Got to be. A week to rest here. Coming out. Would love to see him have a good day, especially in coverage. That's going to be huge. If it's not him, somebody's got to step up there. Very excited for the Christian Gonzalez, Marvin Harrison Jr. matchup.
Mm-hmm.
That should be a lot of fun to watch.
Sure should be.
But I look at this and it's like, all right, well, the Cardinals are a team that likes to go heavy on you. There's a lot of tight ends. They're going to run the ball out of that, and they're going to use play action and set things up down the field. And they have a quarterback who likes to scramble. This has been this defense's worst nightmare.
Yep.
Like, that is the recipe for disaster for this defense. Yeah. So, I need to see some improvement. If they if things continue the way they have been, this is going to be the get-right game for Arizona. Yeah. The Cardinals have not won since their bye. They've lost 3 in a row. They scored 6 points at Seattle. They lost on a very end. They gave a touchdown to the Vikings and lost up in Minnesota.
Yep.
And they lost again to Seattle this past week at home. So after winning 4 in a row heading into the bye.
I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting matchup for the Patriots. And like you say, I mean, they do all of the things well that the Patriots struggle with, right? Of course, the one for me is, is the is the Gonzo, Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. has cooled down a little bit, right? He was going strong for a while, and he's cooled down a bit since. But that's going to be a fun matchup to watch because Gonzo has the ability to lock guys down, and Marvin Harrison Jr. has shown that he's already a very good wide receiver in this league. And so, going to be it's just an interesting matchup. And like you said, Kyler can move, and the Patriots have struggled against quarterbacks that can move. And so this is going to be a real tough matchup for them, and a hard test, I think, to see where they are. And we'll see how they do. It worries me. And ultimately, I don't really care whether they win. I actually kind of want them to lose the last 4 games of the season, but I want to see them at least improve, right? And I think that in that sense, this is a good matchup for the Patriots because I want to see how they play against a mobile quarterback. I want to see how they play against a top flight tight end, right? I want to see how they can do some of those things. And Arizona's defense has been struggling lately, but they have a decent defense. But they've been struggling as of late. But defensively at least, can we start getting some of these stops? Because if you don't get some of these stops, then DeMarcus Cousins is going to have to go. He's going to have to go.
Yeah, these coaches are coaching for their jobs. The players are playing for their jobs on defense too right now. Yeah. Offensively, I think there's some interesting things. So KJ Osborne cut this week. I don't even think we need to spend that much time talking. I mean, he was healthy scratch for a while.
We need to spend 0 seconds talking about it.
Yeah, but Javon Baker though is now concussed. He's out at practice. So
how did that even happen? When did that even happen?
Practice. Must have been yesterday during practice or Tuesday or whatever.
Sucks.
So I'm assuming he might not even make that trip out to Arizona.
Yep.
So it'll be, the same kind of top receivers we've seen. With them. Want to see how they look. Cole Strange might play this week. Caden Wallace has been returned to practice, not activated. I don't know if we're going to see him.
Yeah. I would like to see him, but I don't know if we will.
Might not be this week. But I want to see Strange because Strange is, first of all, I want to see where they put him. That's going to tell us a lot. They want him, Do we see Robinson at left guard and Strange at center? Do we see Strange at left guard and Ben Brown at center? I think those are your 2 options here. Would they ever go to that line where it's going to be, Cole Strange at left guard, Ben Brown at center, Layden Robinson at right guard, and Michael Wenu kicked out to tackle?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do that, but, you have your options.
But you have options.
Yeah. I just want to see some of these guys play well. If Cole Strange can play good football, it's going to make me feel a lot better. That means, all right, we got 2 spots on the line next year short up.
Right.
That'd be nice. Arizona defense isn't anything super special. They'll blitz you. What are they in points? They're 13th in points allowed, but they're 20th in yards allowed. You can move the ball on them. They're middle of the pack team.
I think the Patriots have shown enough offensively. I think they have shown enough offensively.
You should score 20 points in this game.
You would think.
The problem is you might lose 34-20.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So all right, let's get into our picks.
Do it.
Enough time talking about the Arizona Cardinals,
dude. Okay, so here's the picks from last week. Dude, I'm so mad.
Why?
I got 2 games right. I go against the grain here twice, being like, I'm gonna go for an upset. I got Packers over the Lions. Lions win on a walk-off field goal.
Yep.
I got Chargers over the Chiefs. Chiefs win on a walk-off doink in.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, dude.
The fact that, I feel like my gut was correct on, those being good potential upset picks.
Yeah.
It just came down to who had the ball last, so it didn't matter. And I'm just so annoyed. And because of this, now you have taken the lead in our picks.
Whoop whoop! Look at me go.
Yeah.
Look at me go. Don't pick against the Chiefs.
You're up.
Of course, my plan to not pick against the Bills didn't go well, but that's okay. I don't mind because it's the Bills, and I hate them.
That game was wild, by the way.
That was a
Talk about
crazy game.
just Sean McDermott disaster class.
Yeah.
Just the
I
timeout
just
at the
don't.
end was nonsensical.
Kudos to Brady for calling it out, because it was like, what the hell was he thinking? Anyways,
Well,
I don't even.
That's when Brady's at his best too.
Yes,
Judgmental. I like you when you're
absolutely.
judgmental.
Yep.
But yeah.
I agree.
But yeah. All right. Our games this week. One of them just wrapped up.
Yes.
Rams, Niners. We got Dolphins, Texans, 1:00. Steelers, Eagles, 4:00. The 4:00 slot this week has two really good games. And then Packers, Seahawks Sunday night, and Bears, Vikings is one of the two Monday night games.
Yeah. By the way, I saw someone cashed a bet 24,000 for no touchdown to be scored tonight against the Rams and 49ers.
Oh
Cashed it. She put 1 cent on it and won $24. I was like,
That's
bro, if you
crazy.
could imagine if you put like $1 on that instead.
That's
she would have won.
crazy.
She would have won $2,400 or 200.
Yeah,
No,
$2,400.
$2,400. She put 1 cent on it.
Yeah.
Then she put $1. She would have won $2,400. It's wild. Anyways, we both had the Rams in this game. I don't think we need to talk about it. No touchdown scored, 12-6. Just an absolute slog of a game. Brutal. So both of the Rams, chalk one up on the board. Ding. Got it. Love to see it. Love to see it. Next is Dolphins at Texans. This is our 1:00 game this week. I'm going with the Dolphins. And I'm going with the Dolphins because I think that they are on a roll right now. Tua has been incredible. He's been putting up wild numbers. And, they're still alive in the playoff hunt. And I think that, they're still fighting for a playoff spot. And so they're the hungry team. They're playing in a dome. I think that, that gives them, not that it gives them an advantage, but they're not playing outside in cold weather. Let's put it that way. So I think that the Dolphins go into Houston and win this game.
That's very interesting. This to me is like the bad vibes bowl. Two teams that have talent but are just like, something's not right here.
Right.
I'm gonna take Houston. I don't feel great about it.
Yeah.
I think they're like marginally the better team.
Yeah.
That's all I got here. I don't have a whole lot of insight on this one.
No, and the Texans, they have a 2-game lead right now in the Colts, and the Colts are just terrible. But I guess the Colts could maybe catch them, but the Texans, it feels like have already won that division, but they're playing with their food here. They're just not.
Well,
they haven't really played well.
Well, their big move was the the Stephon Diggs thing this offseason, and now he's out, which is brutal for them.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they beat the Jags last week, but 23-20. Mac Jones almost came back and beat them. Mac Jones, for God's sakes.
It was not great.
It's really not great. They've lost, 3 out of the last 5. And I mean, yes, one of those was against the Lions and a close game at the Lions. Right. That was the game where Jared Goff threw 5 picks and they still won.
Yeah.
So that's the type of stuff where it's man, you get all those turnovers and you still can't win. That's not ideal. So anyways, yeah, I agree. Bad vibes bowl is a good way to put it. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Then 4:00, we got the angry vibes.
Yeah.
Bowl. Steelers and Eagles.
This to me is going to be this could be the game of the week. I don't know if it's going to top that. That game from last week, Bills Rams, it was wild numbers wise. But man, both these teams they play so hard. They're physical. They run the ball pretty well. And, Russell Wilson's been throwing the hell out of the ball lately. He's been throwing the hell out of the ball. And the Steelers defense has been awesome. And so, on the other side, you get Pittsburgh that, hasn't been throwing very well, but Saquon's been fantastic. And is realistically, in the running for MVP, which is pretty crazy. So, but anyways, I'm going with the home team here, and I'm going with the Eagles.
I like it. I'm also going Eagles. I think they're a better team here. Just kind of similar identities. I think the Eagles are just better at it. It wouldn't surprise me to see the Steelers muck it up and win this one, but I think this will just be the Eagles coming out on top.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy, rough, tough, old school football here.
Agreed. Love it. Love it.
Which is so before we go into the next game, the other potential game of the week, which is also in the 4:00 slot, so it's not on here. I think we should make picks. It's not for the tracker, but I just want to make picks.
Okay.
This is the Lions-Bills game
Yeah.
in Detroit.
God,
That's also this game is way less important now because the Bills lost last week. So like home field in the AFC is pretty much off the table.
yeah.
But if the
Yeah.
Bills win, then home field in the NFC, like if the Eagles and the Bills both win, then home field in the NFC is suddenly
Oh
tight
yeah,
race.
big time.
Yeah.
I think the Lions win this game. I think the Lions win. The Bills have been awesome. The Lions are just an absolute wagon. I can't pick against the Lions. They're like the Chiefs at this point where I just can't pick against them.
What
And
is
it's not even that they win like and I mean shoot, we mentioned the Texans game. Like they threw 5 interceptions and won. It's insane. Like they had no business winning that game and they won it anyways. And those are the types of games where you're just on a streak. You're on like a hot run. And they've just been incredible. I mean, they've won what 11 straight. They won 12 straight games. Like they've been awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going Lions.
Yeah, I would also go Lions. I think they're the better coached team, which is going to make a big difference there.
Yeah.
Just like, and also I'm thinking about in the NFC picture here, what this game could mean. These 2 games at 4:00. It's the difference between Jared Goff getting to play potentially the conference championship game at home in a dome, or going on the road to Philadelphia
right,
and having to do it.
Right.
Very different worlds.
Changes
right
everything.
there.
Changes everything. If that team plays outside in Philly, it changes everything. So that's
The Lions play like
weekend.
3 games outside this year. It's insane.
Yeah. No, it's a huge week. So
yeah,
we'll see.
But Sunday Night Football, Packers, Seahawks. Seahawks wearing their disgusting all lime green uniforms.
So brutal, dude. They have such good throwbacks. Like such good throwbacks. And they keep wearing like I don't know. It's just annoying.
And I don't mind the lime green jerseys, but wear it with like the blue pants to break it up.
Something.
Do like all.
Yeah, give us something. So
yeah.
But what's wild, Seahawks are in first place in their division for now. They now have the same amount of wins as the Rams. The Packers have a better record, even though they're in third place in their division, because the NFC North is so tight with a 12-1 team and 11-2 team in front of them. They're actually 3 games back in the division. They're 9-4, which is completely insane. I actually am going Seahawks here because the Seahawks are at home, because Jordan Love has just fallen in love with throwing interceptions. And so I feel like the Seahawks can take this game. So I'm going Seattle, but I think this is going to be a good game. I think the Packers, and especially Josh Jacobs, has been so good this year. He's been fantastic. What a great pickup by them. But I'm going Seahawks.
Yeah. I am also going to go Seahawks. Primetime game in that building. Huge stakes in their division. I think we're going to see a big Geno game.
Yeah.
And then the Seahawks defense has been playing very well. And against this Green Bay offense will be very interesting. But like you said, Jordan Love's gotten in love with throwing the picks. I think that he might give him a couple Sunday night.
Yeah, agreed. And last one is Bears-Vikings on Monday Night Football. We don't need to talk about this. The Vikings, like, come on. What are we talking about? The Bears are freaking terrible.
This is speaking of awful uniforms, maybe you like them. I don't. The Vikings are wearing their like winter whiteout uniforms or whatever they are.
Is that with the white helmets too?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the white helmets is an interesting spin. But I don't love.
I don't think you can do winter whiteout when you play in a dome.
I agree. That I agree.
Those do not coexist. But it's like, I don't know. Colors are purple and yellow, and it works. And you're just gonna go wear like a white uniform with like silver trim and a little bit of purple. Like it won't look like the Vikings. Like,
yeah, I don't love it. I'm not a big fan. I can tell you that much. But I like teams trying out new things. I just feel like some of the stuff that they try just isn't that good.
It feels too gimmicky. That one feels too gimmicky for me.
Yeah.
I don't mind like the all purple for Minnesota. I've actually kind of come around on those, but this one to me is too.
Yeah, gimmicky. Yeah, I agree. It's trying to sell like more jerseys or something. You know what I mean? So or more replica helmets, So,
potentially. Yeah.
but
Well, then it's a different jersey too. So
that's true.
everything.
That's what I mean. Jersey and helmets. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
All right. Should we do our prize picks?
yeah, let's do our prize picks.
And get out of
So
here?
yeah, just as a reminder for my my prize picks. Okay. Again, I gave it to you already. I'm going to give it to you again. Patrick Mahomes, more than 0.5 passing yards. Jonnu Smith, more than 46.5 receiving yards. And Demario Pop Douglas, more than 38.5 receiving yards. That's what I got for mine. What do you got for yours?
I've got, this is going to sound weird. Lamar Jackson, less than 217.5 passing yards against the Giants this week.
All right.
Easy explanation. I think they're going to blow out the Giants so badly that he's not going to need to throw the ball.
All right.
And I've got Terry McLaurin, more than 67.5 receiving yards for the Saints. Really hoping that happens because I have him in fantasy. We got playoffs this week.
There you go.
And I think if I win, are you on my side of the bracket in our league?
You know what? I'm not even sure. Hold on, let me see.
Let me check. Oh, no, I don't think so. I got to play the 1 seed if I win. I think you're the 3 seed, right?
I thought I was the 2 seed.
Oh, you are the 2 seed then, yeah. So you're on the other side of the bracket. So if we play, it'll be the championship.
Which is insane that I'm the 2 seed because
you're like the 4th lowest point scored in the league, right?
It's completely insane. Like the point score is not even close. I have 1490 points scored. 1490.
I have 1770 for reference.
That's 5 more points than the 11th place team. It's crazy.
Yeah, you've had a nice lucky season there. You never know. You're in the playoffs. You got to buy. In the playoffs,
got to buy. Got a chance. And I traded for Rico Dowdle and Travis Kelce during the season. I traded a 2026 second round pick for Rico Dowdle in a 14-team league. That's nothing. I gave up nothing for Rico Dowdle. Basically got him for free. So, I like that one. I thought it was a pretty good trade. So, anyways,
that's
all
I
right.
got.
That's it. That's all I got too.
You got it.
Oh, I will say, I told you about this guillotine league that I'm in. I survived all the way to the end of the guillotine league. I needed on Monday Night Football. I was down. I was in last place going into Monday Night Football. I had Chase Brown and Jamar Chase going, and I needed 40 points in full PPR. Jamar Chase got me 45 by himself. He did it by himself. But so now we're in the Final Four, and the Final Four play the next 3 weeks. Cumulative score wins. So it's been a lot of fun. So I made it into the money round. So I'm excited about it. So
yeah. I got a great note for us to end this on.
Let's hear it.
This is from tonight's 49ers Rams game. Do you see this about Devondre Campbell?
I saw a note, but I didn't actually click on Twitter and read it.
I'll read it. This is about 49ers linebacker Devondre Campbell. Shanahan just said that he, quote, this is quoting a tweet from @KP_show, told the coaches that he didn't want to play today. The Niners tried to put him in during the third quarter, but he went to the locker room instead.
It's crazy.
Wild.
Absolutely
never seen that
crazy.
Before. So what a world we live in.
And this is, and one of the guys I follow said that, it's very similar to what, the closest the NFL has come to a player retiring mid-game. Vontae Davis. Remember Vontae Davis was like, peace out, we're out of here. Mid-game.
The stories about that are so funny.
It's wild. That was 2018. That's 6 years ago. Doesn't seem like it was 6 years ago, but it was.
I would have guessed that was post-COVID. So.
Right? Me too. That was like 2 years ago or something like that. But no, 6 flipping years ago.
There's a story. I forget who it was. One of the guys who was playing in the game, talked about how he came off the field. It was like, that's it for me. Everybody was like, oh, you're hurt, or you're gonna take a breather and go back. He's like, nope, that's it.
It's wild. completely insane.
I kind of respect that.
Hey, man, when it's your time, it's your time, I guess,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
One final note. This is a quick one. Cardinals wearing all white at home, so the Pats are wearing their blue jerseys on the road. Pats are wearing silver helmets, blue jerseys, silver pants, and blue socks for the second time ever at State Farm Stadium.
Ooh.
We do not need to talk about what happened the first time they wore those colors in that stadium.
No, we don't.
So let's get a little. Maybe we can get some good juju in this now.
No, we don't. Yeah, that was bad. Yeah, that was Okay. I was talking to some of the other coaches. For those of you who don't know, I'm coaching girls basketball this year, and I was talking to some of the other coaches, and we were chatting about Belichick and stuff. That last night we were talking about it, and one of the guys was saying he's a Giants fan, and I was like, God damn you, freaking Giants! Giants suck. But he's like, well, Patriots can't beat us, and I'm like, yeah, nothing I can say. What am I gonna say? I can't say anything. Freaking Giants fans.
Nothing.
So, but how about make the playoffs? Every time the Giants make the playoffs, they win the damn Super Bowl, but they can't make the playoffs. So they haven't lost a playoff game. When's the last time they lost a playoff game? I don't even know.
Well, because they were in the playoffs the other year, the year they got super lucky and beat the Vikings.
Super lucky and beat. What year was that?
2022. The year the Vikings were.
That's what it was. That's what it was, right?
The year that convinced them to give Daniel Jones.
That's right. But Eli didn't lose a playoff game for a wicked long time because he only went to the playoffs. He went to the playoffs in 2007 and then didn't go back until 2011.
Well, did they? I think they might have gone in 2008, but it was awful vibes and they lost right away.
I don't know.
Something like that.
I don't think they did.
I'm curious.
I don't think they did.
They did. They went 12-4 in 2008 and then lost the first playoff game.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. That might have been the year that what do you call it? The Plaxico Burress incident. That might have been that year.
It certainly could have been. That checks out. After you win the year after you won the Super Bowl, shooting yourself in the leg.
Yeah. And then they went and they won in 2011 and they went back in 2016.
Yeah.
But lost in Green Bay.
Yeah.
I think that was I'm pretty sure that was the year when Aaron Rodgers hit that Hail Mary to Randall Cobb in the back of the end zone before the half. The most the one the one where he got behind the
it's in the back of the end zone. What are we doing?
It's what? Yeah, and then they lost in the divisional round in 2022. That was at Philly. That game wasn't even competitive.
No. Yeah.
So, weird franchise.
Yep, sure is.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, all right, that's enough of us. Thank you for tuning in, as always, people. We'll be back on Sunday night, halftime of Sunday Night Football. Of course, Patriots play in the 4 o'clock slot, so it won't be as late, as far after the game as it usually is. But thanks for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you, and we will see you on Sunday night.